He's rarely in the public limelight and will hardly say a word, especially to journalists. And yet, commander of the Special Forces Command, the newly promoted Major General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, remains one of the most talked about personalities in the country. Major General Muhoozi is a subject of debate due to persistent claims that his father, President Yoweri Museveni, is grooming the son to succeed him in an alleged scheme dubbed the Muhoozi Project. The so-called Muhoozi Project gained more prominence in April 2013 when then-coordinator of intelligence agencies, General David Sejjusa, wrote in a missive that later leaked to the media that a plot was afoot to assassinate senior army officers and government officials opposed to Muhoozi succeeding his father. In a rare interaction with the media, Major General Muhoozi spoke about the subject for the first time. There's been talk about the Muhoozi Project. What do you say about it?
It doesn't exist. Non-existent. That is a red herring.
In the 2013 missive that later forced him to flee to exile in London for fear of his life, General David Sejjusa named the then Army Chief, the late Aronda Nyakairima, Inspector General of Police General Kale Kaihura, and former Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi as those opposed to the alleged Muhoozi Project. But General Muhoozi says he's not interested in any political office, much less the presidency.
I don't have the ambition to be president. I'm very happy being in the military, and that's where I intend to stay for some time.
The Special Forces commander, hitherto a brigadier, spoke to journalists moments after he was decorated. This means Muhoozi is one rank shy of becoming a 4-star general, the final rank in the army hierarchy. For a man who joined the army in 1999, Muhoozi's meteoric rise has raised many eyebrows. In just 17 years, he's about to hit the army rank ceiling. This is probably the reason critics argue that his father, the Commander-in-Chief, General Museveni, is grooming his son for the country's top job. Muhoozi disagrees.
As you heard, there's a process. There's a commissioning board that looks at each case by case and decides. So you've never heard of a message where I promote myself.
In the wake of General Muhoozi's promotion, there were media reports that he had to be elevated to match the new outlook of the Special Forces Command, which was to be transformed into an independent service force like the Land Forces and the Air Force within the National Army, the UPDF. There
is nothing like independent in the UPDF. We are all joint. It's a joint force. We all work together. So talk of independence is misplaced. That's not going to happen. There may be adjustments, there may be changes, but the UPDF is one army and SFC is part of that army. You saw me saluting my commander, the CDF.
During the pimping ceremony at the army headquarters in Mbuya, Kampala, over 700 newly promoted officers were decorated. Anthony Chakabare, who in 2001 declared one government and later returned to the fold, was promoted to colonel and retired. Presidential Advisor on Defense and head of the Army Land Board, Joram Mugume, was also pipped as Lieutenant General, the second highest position in the Army. Uganda's army ranks that are taken from the British tradition following this order from the highest to the lowest: a General or 4-star, Lieutenant General or 3-star, Major General or 2-star, Brigadier, Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, Major, Captain, Lieutenant, Second Lieutenant, Officer Cadet, which is held during the initial officer training. Chief of Defense Forces, General Katumba Wamala, urged the newly promoted officers to maintain discipline, whether inside or outside the army.
Must desist from all forms of ideological manipulation and bad politics, as it would undermine the process of building and consolidating our national unity. Together, we must guard and protect our country's peace and security as a strategic national interest.
One of the credits of the current regime is turning the ragtag National Resistance Army into a professional unit or institution of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. That is a commitment that the Chief of Defense Forces, General Katumba Wamala, continues to give to Ugandans, that they will continue to maintain peace across the borders of Uganda and, of course, outside and the neighboring countries. Shirand Huchri at the Army headquarters in Mbuya, Kampala.